Hello, good morning student. I am Dr.A.K Sinha and today I am going to discuss kinetic molecular theory of gases. Last class we have discussed partial pressure, Dalton's law of partial pressure I have discussed. Now I am going to discuss kinetic molecular theory of gases. So far we have learned the laws of Boyle's law, Charles' law, which are concise statement of experimental facts observed in the laboratory by the scientist. Conducting careful experiments is an important aspect of scientific method, and it tells us how the particular system is behaving under different conditions. However, once the experimental facts are established, a scientist is curious to know why the system is behaving in that way. For example, gas laws help us to predict the pressure. Gas laws helps us to predict that pressure increases when we compress gases. But we would like to know that what happens at molecular level when a gas is compressed, means effect of compression, that what happens at molecular level when a gas is compressed. A theory is constructed to answer such question. A theory is a model, that is a mental picture that enables us to better understand our observation. The theory that attempts to elucidate the behavior of gases is known as kinetic molecular theory. The theory that attempts to elucidate the behavior of gases is known as kinetic molecular theory. Assumptions or postulation of the kinetic molecular theory of gases are very, very important, and I will discuss. Okay. The postulates are related to atoms and molecules which cannot be seen. Hence, it is said to be provide a microscopic model of gases. Okay, here we have to understand assumption of postulates of kinetic molecular theory of gases. Okay, and here these postulates are related to atoms and molecules. Now I am going to discuss postulates, also called assumptions. First, postulates. Gases consist of large number of identical particles, means atoms or molecules, that are so small and so far apart on the average that the actual volume of the molecules is negligible in comparison to the empty space between them. Means volume of molecules or atoms itself are very less in comparison to the volume where they are kept, means volume of container. Suppose in a container gas is there. Big container, you know that gas will occupy completely. But empty space will be there between the molecules or atoms. If we collect all atoms or molecules in one place, then their volume will be very, very less in comparison to the entire container. Second postulates, there is no force of attraction between the particles of a gas at ordinary temperature and pressure. The support for this assumption comes from the fact that gases expand and occupy all the space available to them. If there was force, then they would have not done like this. But they are expanding. They are expanding means forces are no forces, but actually first one and second one. I have discussed about the actual volume of molecules are negligible. But it is not like that. In fact, later on, when we will derive real gases equation, that time I will tell you these 2 points, there is an objection. But according to the theory assumption that actual volume of the molecules are negligible in comparison to the empty space between them. And this second assumption, what I am telling now, that there is no force of attraction between the particles of a gas at ordinary temperature and pressure. This is also objectionable. Okay, these two later on we will discuss. Now it is assumption. It was considered. It was assumed. Okay. The support for this assumption comes from the fact that gases expand and occupy all the space available to them. Third assumption, particles of a gas are always in constant and random motion. They are not simply static, always they will be moving. Particles of a gas are always in constant and random motion. If the particles were at real and occupied fixed positions, then a gas would have had a fixed shape which is not observed. Gas has not fixed shape because of this point only. Because they are not, they are moving. They are randomly moving. Now fourth assumption. Particles of a gas move in all possible directions in a straight line. During their random motion, they collide with each other and with the walls of the container. Pressure is exerted by the gas as a result of collision of the particles with the walls of container. This is the cause for development of pressure. Means pressure due to collision of molecules in themselves, and they also collide with the walls of the container. That's why it creates pressure. This is the fourth assumption. Fifth, collision of gas molecules are perfectly elastic. This means that total energy of molecules before and after the collision remains the same. That is the meaning of elastic collision. There may be exchange of energy. Between colliding molecules. There may be exchange of energy between colliding molecules. Their individual energy may change, but the sum of their energies remains constant. This is the important things. Individual molar energy of the molecules may change, but the sum of their energies remains constant. If there were loss of kinetic theory, kinetic energy, if there were loss of kinetic energy, the motion of molecules will stop and gases will settle down. This is contrary to what is actually observed. Gas will not stop, molecules will not stop. They are always in a movement. Okay. It means what? That they are not losing the energy. If there were loss of kinetic energy, the motion of molecules will stop and gases will settle down. This is contrary to what is actually observed. Means they are not settling. They are always moving. Means there are no loss of kinetic energy during motion. Next point, sixth point. At any particular time, different particles in the gas have different speeds and hence different kinetic energies. This assumption is reasonable because as the particles collide, we expect their speed to change, and it happens also. Even if initial speed of all the particles was same, the molecular collisions will disrupt this uniformity. Consequently, the particles must have different speed, which go on changing considerably. It is possible to show that though the individual speeds are changing, the distribution of speeds remains constant at a particular temperature. This is the fifth point. Again, I am repeating it, telling you again. At any particular time, different particles in the gas have different speeds, not same speed, different speeds, and hence different kinetic energies. Hence kinetic energy and speeds both are different. This assumption is reasonable, means correct, because as the particles collide, we expect their speed to change. Even if initial speed of all the particles was same, the molecular collisions will disrupt the uniformity. Consequently, the particles must have different speeds which go on changing constantly. It is possible to show that though the individual speeds are changing, the distribution of speeds remains constant at a particular temperature. This is the sixth point I have told you. Now last point, that is the seventh point. If a molecule has a variable speed, then it must have a variable kinetic energy. Obviously, under these circumstances, we can talk only about average kinetic energy. When speeds are changing, energy is different, then we can talk only about the average kinetic energy. In kinetic theory, it is assumed that average kinetic energy of the gas molecules. Average kinetic energy of the gas molecules is directly proportional to absolute temperature. This is a very, very important point. This is used in many places and in deriving the equation. In kinetic theory, it is assumed that average kinetic energy of gaseous molecule is directly proportional to the absolute temperature. It is seen that on heating a gas at constant volume, the pressure increases. Already I have discussed. When you will heating a gas at constant volume, the pressure increases because gas will expand. That's why pressure will increase. On heating the gas, kinetic energy of the particles increases and these strike the wall of the container more frequently, thus exerting more pressure. This 7th point I have discussed. Kinetic theory of gases allows us to derive theoretically all the gas laws. Whatever we have studied, means Boyle's law, Charles' law, Gay-Lussac law, all laws. This also we have discussed. This average you can say Avogadro's law. All these laws can be derived from these assumptions. Means kinetic theory of gases, you can derive all these gases. Correct? Kinetic theory of gases allow us to derive theoretically all the gas law what we have studied. Calculation and prediction based on kinetic theory of gases agree very well with the experimental observation and thus establish the correctness of this model. This is also called a model. Then now I have discussed this assumption or postulates of kinetic molar theory of gases. This is very, very important for all examination, for all competitive, for medical, IIT. These points they are asking in different way. Okay, even for UPSC also these points are asked. UPSC, CSIR, NET exam. And here important things what I told from this model, from this assumption, that if you will derive from this assumption, if you will derive Boyle's law, Charles' law, Gay-Lussac law, and this Avogadro laws, then whatever you can say values comes, that is matching with experimental also, very close to the experimental also. Then now I am stopping only here. Again we will meet in next class. Thank you.